Thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview. Can you take us back to the beginning? So what first sparked your passion for show jumping?
Well, I come from a very little town in Brazil where show jumping basically did not exist. So my love with horses start with the animal itself. Some of my uncles, they are in the cattle business and agriculture. I come from a little town where there's a lot of agriculture around. So I start riding like this. We are from very south of Brazil, very close to Argentina. So we ride a bit like Western. It's called gaucho style. This is how I start. I start going to some of those little ranches that some of my uncles they had, and then riding. And then in that time the cattle work was all done with horses. So you needed to go pick up cattle that were 2 or 3 hours in a horse walk away, and then you would leave 5 in the morning, pick them up, bring them in for vaccination, for all that kind of stuff. And that's how my riding started. And then a friend of my dad was military. And then one day talking to my dad, how's your son? And how's this going? Oh, he only talks about horses. And he learned the first word that he learned how to ride was horses. He was from the military. And in the military, there was show jumping in my city. But it was not open for civilians. But then he was general or whatever, high ranked over there. So he invited me and he showed me how to ride the first time a show jumper. And this is how I started. I was 5 to 6 years old. And not long after, he was transferred to the capital of the country. And then I needed to stop riding because there was no access to civilians. And then 2 years later, little club opened in my city and they contacted me. And then I started there when I was 8 years old. And then when I was 13, coming 14, I told my family that I would be a professional, that I wouldn't follow law like they thought I would. But fortunately, I have very supportive parents and they talked me through it. They gave me some rules, things that I needed to accomplish to be able to follow my dream, but they didn't stop me. And then from there on, this whole journey started. I think, like everything in life, it has some ups and downs. So for sure, coming out of a non-horse family, it makes very difficult because you have the access. When you have the access at home, all the information it's processed way quicker. That was not my case. But in the other hand, when you're able to do it by yourself and you need to really dig yourself to find information, and then you try things and you do not succeed because you did it wrong, and then you need to try some other ways. But that also creates thicker skin. And I think once you get there, there's fewer things that can actually disturb you.
What keeps you motivated to do what you do? What's the deepest reason why?
The deepest reason is still the same reason as that I start to ride, because I love to be around the horses. That's nothing else that I enjoy more. I was always a very competitive person, with or without horses. I did other sports that in general other riders don't do so much, as basketball and volleyball, of course soccer in Brazil. So I love the competition, but I love more the relationship with the horse, the motivation to keep on going on high level, because like you said, that's a lot of ups and downs, but it's very important that people understand it's way more downs than ups. Sometimes when people see around a rider that arrive at the high level, they have the understanding maybe from where I come from. When I also passed through this when I was just a kid looking up, you think, so nice, they can ride so well, and they always win. But the reality is that the feeling is that we never win, because even the number one of the world wins less than 80% of the classes that he participates. So that means that out of 10 times that he enters in the ring, more than 8 times he loses. And then when you are competitive and you are at this level, it means that 8 times out of 10 you're frustrated that you didn't win. It's a very challenging battle with your mind. Motivation is not the key word. The word is discipline, because the most important is that you keep discipline in the lows, because then is when it's very hard. If you're disciplined to keep your routine, doesn't matter if you win or if you lose, the next morning you need to wake up early, need to go work your horses the same. If you lose, even more. So, and if you win, doesn't make any difference. You need to wake up and work again. So what you need to create is a system where you enjoy the grind of the getting better. Doesn't matter if you win or if you lose. You need to get there and find little edges where you can add to your craft. And our specific sport is so intense because you're not working only in yourself. You're working in yourself in every particular horse. So there's so many variables that change. It's a non-stop circle. The key is the discipline, that you're eager to get there, to see your horses, to see what you can do best for the next competition, for the next days. And that's it.
How do you handle pressure? How do you mentally prepare for competitions and new challenges?
In my life, because of my competitiveness on everything, I never really suffer from too much pressure because I enjoy the pressure. I think if you're good enough, it doesn't matter what you do. That's the rush that I enjoy, to be in that position and to be challenged. But of course, when you get to specific moments, you need to work on your mind. So when I start to get closer to be a member of the Brazilian team for big events, I thought I needed help with a professional. So then I searched for a sports psychologist. I was very lucky to find a very good one. And then we worked for a few years where I would go every once in a while to his place, and we would also communicate by phone or by text. And so I think one of the key things to do is that, in the end, you need to focus that you're competing with yourself. You are there to put your best performance. It doesn't matter if your best that day would suit to be first or to be fifth. If you do the best that you could do that day, you need to leave the competition feeling satisfied. If you didn't, it doesn't matter if you won, because sometimes, how things go. Sometimes you get a bit lucky. You rolled one line, one combination, one day you didn't ride as good as you wish. Maybe your horse helped you out, maybe the luck, maybe you touched the fence didn't come down, whatever, and you end up winning. But you didn't do the process like you should. Then that day you should be unhappy. Doesn't matter if you won. I think the most important thing is to be honest with your process, understand your mind. I think great thing that I worked with my psychologist is it doesn't matter how much preparation your mind needs. If one person needs 5 minutes and you need 2 hours, it doesn't mean that person is better than you. What change is that if you need 2 hours, that you do your 2 hours. And if he needs 5 minutes, that he do his 5 minutes. If he needs 5 minutes and he does 4 minutes and you do your 2 hours, you'll be more prepared than him. The thing is that you need to understand yourself. What do you need to be completely focused at the time of the competition, where it's only you, your horse, and your preparation? And that's where the discipline really kicks in, because if you did your whole work, you shouldn't feel so worried. You did your best. Let's see how that plays out. And then you will learn from it. If it was enough, results should come. And if it's not, then you need to get better at somewhere. And also, an athlete should understand that even if you do that same process 100 times, there are few times that things won't work your way, because that's how it goes. Someone will be better, or your horse will be not 100% that day. You'll be unlucky, whatever, it happens. Someone open an umbrella in the tribune and spook your horse. And how could you predict? Our sport is so unpredictable, right? All of a sudden, there is a super heavy rain that comes right when you are on the rain. There's nothing you could do about that. So less focus on the result and focus more on the process, to be ready with your horse, with everything that you can control. And what you cannot control, then you need to leave to the situation. Anyways, I think psychology, it's a great thing. Not only sports psychology. I also did just psychology when I was younger. And I think it's a great thing that you can open and you can try to understand yourself a bit better. Everybody should try. I'm sure, like everything, you need to find the right professional. It doesn't mean that every person will be the right fit for you. But sports psychology, read about, take some audiobooks. It will help everyone, that's for sure.
I totally agree. Were there any particular rides riders or also mentors who deeply influenced you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like I said, I come from a different a bit environment. So as a non-horse family, and I needed to work myself up to where I am. I have a few trainers, my first trainer that really influenced me, which was an Argentinian guy called Gustavo Dias Cardejac in Brazil. He was great. He influenced me as a rider and also as a man. He's a great man. I learned a lot from him. As the time went, I had the opportunity to share ideas with many of my fellow competitors and other people. And that's a lot of people that I admire and I exchange ideas until today, like Marlon Zanotelli, the other Brazilian rider. I also talk a lot with Kent Farrington. I think he's a fantastic rider, but not only that, he is also a great horseman. It's good to share and to exchange ideas with people like that. And as a Brazilian growing up, you could not avoid to be influenced from the Pessoa family. For us, it was our heroes. And for me, it was very far away because I had no contact with them. And then I was lucky enough to come to be a member of the team together with Rodrigo, which was a great honor. And then becoming friends and yeah.
You've competed on some of the world's biggest stages, including the Olympics. What moments were the most significant ones for you?
For sure. I mean, for me, I got the opportunity to compete at the Olympics in Brazil. This is a moment that's unforgettable. I'm a real sport-oriented person. I enjoy most of the sports. So for me, the Olympic Games is the best event that exists. A place where all the best athletes in the world are together. It's incredible. And then when the Olympic Games happened in your own country, it's even more. And then you get to participate as an athlete on that one. For me, it was really an experience that is difficult to describe how it was. And then I was lucky to be the first day, I was number one of the list. So I opened the Olympic Games in my own country. And that's an experience that I will never forget. This for sure is the highlight. I have many other very good memories, like Aachen. It's very special, very, very special. The Pan Americans, where we were a gold medal as a team, it's quite something also for us. The Pan Americans it's a small Olympics, right? Different than in Europe. Europeans is only horses. In America, the Pan Americans, it's an Olympic game from the Americas. So all the sports together, the athletes also, they stay in a villa with all the other athletes. It's a very important championship for us. It was very nice to be able to have the gold medal, but definitely like the Olympics, it was something different.
I was there.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, yeah. I lived in Brazil for a while, so I was in São Paulo, but of course I went to Rio to see the Olympics. Yes.
Yeah, it's very nice. And for me, because of my story and work, I left Brazil very young, so I was 18 years old, and this is the first time I went back to compete in Brazil. This was 18 years later that I came back to compete in my country. So like for my family, my parents, they come very often, every once in a while, my sisters, but the rest of my whole family and friends, they haven't seen me for 18 years. And then all of a sudden I'm back in the Olympics. So it was a very nice feeling.
How do you build partnership and trust with your horses?
I think it's like any relationship. It's about trust and respect. For me, are the basements of any relationship. I'm married for, it will be 17 years of marriage now. I have 3 kids, and I can say the same for my marriage. If you get your horse to trust you and vice versa, and you respect your horse the way the horse is, of course, you're trying to improve the abilities of the horse, but that you understand that some things that particular horse won't do because that's not the way he is. For me, that's the key, that you respect every individual horse as a different way of being, a different way of being worked. Of course, myself as a rider, I have a system, but my system is very open to different aspects of every horse. I don't like to put every horse in the same box and just ride them the same. So I do just like I do with my kids. They are different, each one of them.
What's one of the most most important lessons that your horses have taught you over the years?
To be humble. There's nothing better than a horse to make you humble. When you think you are in a high, it's a low that comes right under and bigger than the high. But I think there's nothing better to be with the horses. This is my best therapy. I'm there, and then this connection that you have with the animal. I'm fortunate to work in a beautiful place and to be most of my day around those beautiful animals, jumping over fences. I can't ask for something more. So I know people always ask me if I want my kids to be riders. My answer is that I want my kids to be happy, whatever they want to do. Because I think a horse life is a very demanding life, because the horses, they need us all the time. Now, for instance, if you ask me when was my last day off, I don't remember. It's been a while. You come back from a show and there is a lot of horses that you didn't work for that period of time. And then my choice is to go work them and to be with them and to learn from them. And of course, this is very demanding. It's a lot of traveling. It's not easy for the family. If you love the animal and the sport as much as I do, then yes, definitely go be a rider. That's nothing best. But if you do for other reasons, then it's better to look for another job, because this is a job that demands a lot of patience and a lot of effort for very little reward. So you need to enjoy the process. And I think I'm fortunate because I do. Of course, the Olympics was, it's great to be able to have achieved those goals. But my goal was to win the Olympics. And I didn't. And I have many, 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 many other goals that I haven't. And I don't know if I will, but I will keep fighting. But anyways, I am very grateful if my career ends with the results that I have now. I'm happy with the life that I have, because for me, it's great to wake up every day and to go ride my horses and to spend my time with them and come back home smelling like a horse, and then start my family life. Like people say, you live in the dream. I say, listen, my dream, yes, maybe for some other people will be a nightmare. But for me, it's great.
Looking back, is there anything you wish you had known earlier in your career?
Oh, there are many things. Coming from a non-horse family, I know that I learned a lot of things later. So it would be great, when I see the relationship that Rodrigo has with Neko and everything he learned from first sight with his dad, I think it would be great. But now I don't regret things the way they are. I tend to regret things that I didn't try, and that I don't do so much. I'm a trier, so I try and it doesn't work. I keep on going, then I go again and again and again. If I need to go a million times, that's a rule that I have at home with my kids, and so we never give up. But for sure, if you ask me, there are things that I would like to have learned earlier. So many. There are countless things that I would love. I think even Quintal, my Olympic partner, that's a question that we will never have the answer. But I'm pretty sure that if I would have Quintal now, the way I got him when he was 7 years old, I'm pretty sure he would have had still a better career that he had, because I learned so much from him. But of course, learning from him also stopped me to do sometimes the right thing. I needed to learn by doing the wrong thing first, and then he was a very special and sensitive horse that I didn't had so much the experience before. But okay, I think we end up figuring out ourselves. But
What advice would you give to young riders?
Well, never give up. Always keep learning, always keep fighting, always try to get better. I am 45 years old now. I understand that I'm in maybe the last third of my career, but I am more disciplined now than I was when I was 17. So don't give up, work on yourself. I think the difference about the riders of today with the riders of the past is because the sport pushes that way. Today, most of the riders are real athletes. So, take care of your nutrition, go to the gym, be healthy, and most of everything, be passionate about your horses, respect your horses. And for me, one of the biggest sickness of our sport is people that don't know in which competition to enter. So when they're ready to win 130, they want to ride 140. And when they're ready to win 140, they want to ride 145. And that's the way it goes. And in the end, they never win anything. So learn how to win. When you're ready to win 130, win 130. And then after you won many times, then you think about going up. Enjoy winning because that's what it counts. Doesn't matter how big you jump. What it matters is the color of the ribbon you have on your head. I think, that sometimes, and I'm guilty of that, every rider is. That's one of the things, if you ask me if I have a love to learn something earlier, that would be one. Today, I understand better my horses and their limitations, and I choose, I think, better their competitions. So then I have horses that win more for longer amount of time. When you're younger, of course, you want to jump bigger, you want to get there. And sometimes you force a horse that's not real suited to that competition, but that in the end doesn't bring you anything. If you don't win anything, the horse in general, from that it goes down. So that I would have liked to learn earlier. We don't learn anything from winning anything. We learn from losing, but you need to have an open mind for that, because otherwise you see some people doing over and over the same mistakes. And it's okay to keep losing, but if you going one way and that way is not going, then you got to change your way. That's for sure. But I have done step backs. I do it every day. If you don't know how to do a setback and to give your horse a breathing moment, then you have no chance. This is something that I really disregard when I see people forcing a horse into the same situation that you see that's not going. One of the best horses that I had in my career as a winning horse was Karushka, was her name. I had actually in the same time as I had Quintal. At one point of her career, she was so careful. She got a bit afraid of the combinations, but she never stopped or so, but she would like to come out of the combinations. She was struggling. At one point I said, okay, this mare, she needs a vacation from me and she needs to go back to the basics. And that's one girl in California. At that time I was in California. That was a great girl, great friend, Gabi Salik. And I spoke to Gabi and I say, hey Gabi, you want to take my mare for a while? Start from the basics, like 110, and then you move up. Yeah, she's like, yeah, for sure. That's a great honor. And she had Karushka for, I think, 6 months. She started first she was 1 month at home, and then she started 110, 115, 120. And then when the mare was right back to the 140, then I took it back. We ended up winning a lot. She won a class in Aachen, me, this horse, and we won at the Global Champions Tour. But I'm sure if she hadn't had that time off, her career at that level would be over, because she was at one point panicking, and then just like in the coming out of the competition, she was a bit throwing her front feet forward. And then you need to acknowledge, understand that, because she's so competitive, every time we would go full speed and she would win. And at one time that took a piece of her. But then I said, okay, go back, chill. And then when she came back, she was refreshed. And Quintal, I did the same after the year of the Olympics. Then we kept on going. And after 2017, he was a bit fed up, and I thought that he wasn't the same horse. And then I sent him to the beach, and he was 3 months in the beach, just like trotting in canter up and down the beach. And when I got him, I did a few small shows. And his first international show, he won the Grand Prix as a CSIO 5-star. But to understand what they need, you need to have a very serious conversation with yourself. That's not what you need, it's what they need. And that's the difficult part, because as riders, you have a show that you want to do, you have that event. For me, Quintal, for example, at that time that I did his break, it was very hard for me to do that, because he was my only real 5-star horse that I could go to any 5-star in the world and compete. It was difficult to get there. I went to Barcelona. He had a bad Nations Cup final there. He wasn't himself. And I said, okay, this is not taking me anywhere. I spoke with some people, even with Rodrigo. He was one of the people that told me about taking them to the ocean. I had no experience. I heard about the ocean, and I also thought about, send him to a place with some beautiful woods that he would go out and just, and he said to me, I would send him to the ocean. They really get their mind in a different moment when they spend the time in the ocean. So then we spoke. I found a guy that I think he recommended me. Germany at the time. And I sent him to Normandy. And for me, it was very hard because, to let my best horse go away for, I think he was 4 months away, it was very hard. I like to be in control of everything that happens to my horses. And I'm very jealous of who rides my horses. And so it was very, very hard for me. But the guy was great. He would send me videos and so, and little by little, I started to believe more in the process. It was fantastic. When I got him back, he was back the horse that he was in the past. And then I did a few little classes, and then I did one international, and then the second one was this ASIO, and then he won the 5-star Grand Prix. I sent him more time, like for a shorter period. Then when he would have a break, I would send him 2-3 weeks to the beach so he could go and relax. And it's also fantastic for the legs with the cold water. And so they go, but like long rains, and then they go into the ocean, water up to the chest, and they walk, and then a bit trot. And then like in Normandy, there's kilometers of just a perfect sand, wet from the ocean. And then they trot and they canter just like free. They can run as much as they want, and then all of a sudden they don't run no more because you're not trying to stop them anymore. It's great. I've been myself to do it as well. It's a fantastic feeling.
Another question that I wanted to ask you, it's about ethics in this sport and horsemanship. So what are your thoughts about it?
What I do think is that we cannot judge, because what I see today happening is that I see the whole industry talking a lot about horse welfare, putting all the riders in the same bag. When I talk with my colleagues, I see the vast majority of riders at all levels loving their horses. Of course, there are few cases of people that do different, but I think we need to be careful because you are not judged by the same rules as people that decide to go and rob other people or kill other people. I spoke about this with the FEI actually in one of the meetings we had. I think sometimes the protocols that the FEI are implementing today, I understand that those protocols were implemented for a very good reason, because they wanted to protect the horses. But like everything that is new, not everything that has been done, it's done the right way. And some things had backfire on us as an industry, as a group of people. I give you an example. The boot control, right? Or the pre and after boot control. We have this whole circus around this thing, which I understand why, because some people, very few people, were abusing about the use of the boots. But the problem with the whole circus that was created around this is that all of us riders, in the eye of the general public, we are put it in the same bag. I give you an example of a few horses that I have. They're very sensitive horses, fortunately, and I don't need to use very hard and pull boots and so, but I use, for example, I have a couple of horses that I use a very like an escadron or very light, very soft boot. But when you put on the horses, they are sensitive and they walk with their feet up. But that process today is done in the eye of the public. And that public, they have a smartphone in their hands. So then, they are over there filming you, put very soft boot that's actually put it to protect the horse, right? It's put it for if the horse hit himself with the shoe, that it doesn't cut the horse. But the horse walks with their feet up. So the people, they post on their social media, like if you were hurting your horse, and that creates a whole different mechanic to the thing. So I think it's very important to talk about horse welfare, but it's also very important to educate people and that people understand how well 99% of our horses, they actually live, because that's what I think that's missing from this whole thing. When I also ask the FEI why I don't see more propaganda or more things about how well our horses actually live. Then they told me, but you guys should do it yourself. I say, no, it's not me filming how nice I am. Who's gonna buy this? That's very easy. You take a murderer and he and he full up his house with flowers and film himself saying that he's the nicest guy. It's not about that. This is the government body showing the actual treatment that the horses they receive. Like my horses, they have chiropractors, they have acupuncturists, they have dentists, they have cold spa, they go to beautiful turnouts, they go out 3 times per day, they graze. Like they live a better life than I do. And I'm really worried that they do, and that they receive the best, and the nutritionist and this and that. This is how 99% of the high level horses, they live in a high standard, in a fantastic environment with beautiful big beddings, with a lot of shavings and standing wraps, grooms that take 10 times more care about their horses than about themselves. And I don't see people talking about that. I see people talking about the very small and few cases of people abusing other horses. And that's bad. And that should be punished very strong. But that's not the majority. That's far away from it. So I think horse welfare is very important. I practice, not because of any rule that the FEI has implemented, even though that I think the rules are important. But you should not judge the riders because there are a few cases that are abusers. Those ones should be punished, and should be punished very strong. Yes. If you want to banish them from the sport, just do it. It's very easy to do it. Everybody knows who are the ones that do it right and do it wrong. Today, we are a little bit put in a sack of that everybody belongs to the same. You know, we go to those events and everybody's filming the moment that you put the boots. Everybody's like, when you go to an Olympic or to a Pan American or to a World Championships or World Cup, any of the major events, you come out of the ring and there is 4 stewards following you, like if you are a bandit, and then you arrive at the thing and they put a white glove and they touch your horse to see if there's any mark of blood. What does that mean? If you already have 4 people going around and you're looking at the horse and you don't see anything, why do you need to touch my horse with a white glove? They're looking for trouble. And then they're making a big noise about something that does not really exist. There is a few cases, of course. If someone abuses a horse, let's get them out, you know, for a year, for 2, for life, doesn't matter. That's what it needs to be done. But for all the rest of us, just like for once, acknowledge how well we treat our horses. You know, I think that's what's missing in our sport, the days of today. As the horses, they gave everything I have. So then it's the only way. It's just like even like my dog, what you gonna do? You need to take care of that animal. I lived the high level for a very long time, and all my friends, they treat their horses just like me. Yeah, of course, there will be one case of one guy that I heard. Yeah, but that's bad people driving, that's bad people going to nightclubs, that's bad people on airplanes, and not because of that, we are all the same. So I think the FEI should do a better job exposing all the good work that we do with our horses. Public needs to understand that we are not abusing the horse, because if we keep going towards that direction, I think the future of the sport is in danger. I also have breeding horses. So like my mare that I said to you, Karushka, you know, I put her into breeding and to a fantastic place, and Quintal is also in a really nice place, retire. And so, but go see them and go see my horses, and you tell me which one you think lives a better life. And they are free, you know, they are in the field day and night, rain or no rain, you know, it's not the same. Our horses, they go, like I said, they go in beautiful fields out as many hours as they like to be. The ones that they like to be the whole day out, they stay the whole day out. The ones that don't like, because they ask to come back home, they go to the door and they are banging on the door like, come on, go put me back home. Then we put them, and then they go to the walker, and then they go to the cold water spa. You know, there's so many things that are done for there. You just look at them and you understand how well they are. It's a sport that's not well advertised. in our sport.
What are your goals for the future?
Oh, I have so many goals. You know, I think I have a very nice group of horses now. Tomorrow I go to St. Gallen, and then hopefully that will go well, and then we'll see where the chef d'équipe wants us next. I'm a member of a team of the Global Champions Tour, the Mexico Amigos, so I have a few of those events. I do Saint-Tropez, Paris, and then from the second half, I don't know so much yet. My main goal would be Aachen 2026. For sure, like the Olympics in Rio, I'm sure that would be the only Olympics during my career time that would be in my country. I'm also quite sure that those World Championships will be the last World Championships in Aachen for me. So I will do my best to be part of it.
Thank you, Eduardo. Obrigada.
Bye, de nada, tchau.